Have you ever noticed how a walk can begin as something almost forgettable? A sidewalk, a hallway, a quiet street. And then without any dramatic signal, your whole inner world starts rearranging itself? Not outside. Inside, your heart changes its rhythm. Your blood begins moving with a different kind of smoothness. Tiny muscles in your legs start helping every beat. Vessels you never think about begin widening. Messages start passing between your brain, your lungs, your arteries, your muscles. And most people never hear this part. The moment this shift becomes truly meaningful for your heart is not when you're tired, drenched in sweat, or finishing some perfect 30-minute workout. It happens much earlier. And if you stay with me, by the end of this video, you'll know the exact minute many of these heart protective effects begin to act less like just movement and more like a gentle form of medicine. Subscribe if you enjoy understanding what's happening inside your body. What most people don't realize is that your heart doesn't wait for a big fitness event to respond. It listens for patterns, a steady pace, repeated muscle contractions, predictable breathing, blood moving past the vessel walls with just enough flow to say, "We're active now, time to adapt." That's why walking matters so much. It's not extreme enough to overwhelm the body. It's steady enough to invite cooperation, and your body loves that. Think of walking like turning on a quiet factory that has been idling in the background. The belts begin moving, the doors open, deliveries start reaching the right places, filters begin clearing, temperature is adjusted, pressure is monitored, energy gets rerouted. Nothing looks dramatic from the outside, but inside, thousands of tiny corrections are happening at once. This is why walking has such a strange reputation. It seems too ordinary to be powerful. People assume something so simple must be better than nothing, but not truly important. Biology says otherwise. Public health guidelines now make a point that even small amounts of movement help, and the old rule that activity only counted if it lasted at least 10 minutes has been removed. Adults are still encouraged to build toward 150 to 300 minutes of moderate activity each week. But the science has become more generous, not more strict. Move more, sit less, and understand that your body responds to movement sooner than we once thought. Source quietly inside your body, the first phase starts almost immediately. In the opening minutes, your muscles begin acting like extra pumps. Every time your calves and thighs contract, they help push blood back toward your heart. That means your circulation doesn't have to rely on the heart alone. You and your muscles become partners. Your breathing deepens a little, your heart rate rises a little, not because anything is wrong, but because your body is wonderfully efficient. It sees a new demand and answers it with just enough support. This early phase is easy to miss because it feels so normal. But normal does not mean unimportant. Your blood vessels are already noticing the increased flow. The lining inside those vessels, the endothelium, is incredibly sensitive. It reads passing blood almost the way grass reads the wind. When flow becomes steadier, that lining begins releasing signals that help the vessels relax and open. One of the most important of these signals is nitric oxide, which sounds technical, but you can picture it as a gentle message that tells blood vessels, "Make room, things are moving now." That matters for your heart because your heart is always working with pressure and resistance. If the vessels become more cooperative, your heart's job becomes a little easier. Now here's where things get interesting. If you wanted one simple answer to the title of this video, one exact minute, the best practical answer is around minute 10. Not because nothing matters before then, and not because minute 10 is magical in some mystical sense, but because by around the 10-minute mark of steady walking, especially at a brisk but comfortable pace, several systems have usually settled into a coordinated rhythm. Your circulation is no longer just adjusting, it's operating differently. Your heart has shifted from reacting to participating. Your blood vessels have been exposed to a sustained stream of movement signals. Your muscles are reliably drawing in fuel. The walk has become a conversation, not just a trigger. That's the minute many people think they're just getting started. Biologically, that may be the moment the real medicine-like pattern is already underway. Under the surface, a second layer is also unfolding. Your nervous system is becoming less chaotic. If you began the walk tense, distracted, or mentally crowded, your body may have started with a slightly more vigilant chemistry, a little more stress signaling, a little tighter breathing, a little more internal noise. But rhythmic walking often begins softening that edge. Your body starts choosing steadiness over alertness. This is one reason a single bout of physical activity can have immediate benefits. The CDC notes that even one session of moderate to vigorous activity can reduce blood pressure, lower feelings of anxiety, and improve sleep quality later on. Source: let's make that more visual. Imagine city traffic at rush hour. Cars are packed too tightly. Merging is awkward. Lights feel badly timed. Everybody is still moving, but not beautifully. Now imagine that same city when traffic begins to flow in a smoother pattern. Same roads, same cars, but better timing, more space, fewer sudden stops. That's part of what walking can do for circulation. It doesn't replace every problem. It doesn't fix everything in one day, but it changes the traffic pattern, and the heart feels that. So if minute 10 is the point where walking often begins to behave like medicine for the heart, what happens in the minutes around it? Let's slow it down. First, the body checks safety. Are we moving? How fast? Is this manageable? If the answer is yes, your system avoids panic and chooses efficiency. Next, the muscles ask for more oxygen and more fuel. Blood flow rises to meet the request. Then, the vessel lining responds to that moving blood by becoming more cooperative. Then, the heart gets help. Not by beating wildly, but by beating with purpose. And finally, the whole system begins stabilizing into something sustainable. That stable zone is the key, because healing signals often prefer rhythm over intensity. Your body is not impressed by punishment. It is impressed by patterns it can trust. In the next part, we're going to step fully inside that timeline, early, middle, and advanced, and watch what happens to your blood pressure, your fuel use, your hormones, and the hidden lining of your arteries as the walk continues. Let's stay inside the walk. You've started moving. Your shoes are finding a rhythm. Your arms are swinging without much thought. And beneath all of that, your body is making decisions second by second. At first, in the early phase, the goal is simple: adjust without overreacting. Your heart rate rises because your muscles need more delivery. Oxygen, nutrients, fluid balance, it all has to scale up a little. But a healthy response here is usually smooth, not explosive. Your body is saying, I see the task, I've got it. One of the cleverest parts of this phase happens in your legs. The muscles there squeeze veins and help return blood upward, almost like extra hands helping carry groceries to the door. That improved return can help the heart fill more efficiently between beats. In other words, walking is not just something the heart does for the body. The body begins doing useful work for the heart too. Then comes the middle phase. This is the phase most people can feel without knowing why. Breathing becomes more rhythmic. Your body feels warmer. Your stride gets easier. You're no longer negotiating with the walk. You're inside it. This is where the 10-minute mark matters so much. By now, blood has been moving across your vessel walls in a sustained way. The endothelium, that thin, living lining inside your arteries, starts behaving more like a skilled traffic controller than a passive pipe wall. It helps vessels widen when needed. It helps blood move with less friction. It helps regulate pressure and flow. That's one reason researchers care so much about endothelial function. It gives us a window into how friendly or stressed the vascular system is. A study on acute walking found that a single walking bout improved endothelial function later on, even when changes in blood fats were small. The researchers also noted that about a 1% improvement in this vessel response has been linked with roughly a 13% lower risk of future cardiovascular events. In plain language, a walk can leave your blood vessels behaving better after the walk is over. Source: that detail matters because many people imagine exercise only counts while it's happening, but the body is more intelligent than that. Walking is not just an event, it is a message, and your body keeps responding to that message long after the steps stop. Now let's talk fuel, because this is where people often get distracted by myths. Some think the heart only benefits once fat burning becomes high. Others think the walk only matters if it's intense enough to leave them exhausted. But your body doesn't work like a social media challenge. It works like a kitchen. In the first part of the walk, it uses what's easy to reach: some stored sugar, some circulating fuel, whatever is quickest to put on the stove. As the walk continues, especially into that steady 10 to 20-minute range and beyond, the balance can begin shifting. Muscles become more willing to use fat alongside carbohydrate, especially when the pace is brisk but sustainable. Insulin's job can ease a little because the moving muscles are pulling fuel in more willingly. That's good news for metabolism, but it's also good news for the cardiovascular system, because blood sugar handling, blood fat handling, and vessel health are deeply connected. Here's a friendly way to picture it. Think of your bloodstream as a delivery system and your muscles as neighborhood homes. When you sit for long periods, many of those front doors stay mostly closed. Delivery trucks keep circling, but when you walk, more doors open. Packages get accepted. Traffic clears. That means less crowding in the blood and less strain on the system that has to move it all. And yes, the heart notices. Then comes the advanced phase. Not advanced like athletic. Advanced simply means the walk has lasted long enough for the body to trust the pattern even more. At this stage, many people feel mentally clearer. That's not imaginary. Rhythmic movement can help the nervous system settle. Your breathing becomes less shallow. Muscles work more economically, temperature control gets better. The walk begins feeling less like effort and more like support. The heart loves this phase because it thrives on efficient repetition. Beat after beat, it's practicing. The vessels are practicing too. The lungs are matching the pattern. The muscles are helping. This is training, but it doesn't have to feel extreme to be real. What's actually happening is that your body is building reliability, and reliability is protective. Here's the paradox. Gentle, repeatable movement can be more powerful for long-term heart health than occasional heroic effort. Not always more impressive, but often more useful. This is where older ideas have changed. For years, many people were told exercise needed to be in chunks of at least 10 minutes to count. That rule is gone. Researchers have found that short bursts of activity still matter, and more daily movement is linked with better outcomes, whether it happens in little pieces or longer sessions. In one American Heart Association report, using wearable data in older women, each initial 1,000-step increase in short bursts was associated with a 28% lower risk of death during follow-up, while more than 2,000 uninterrupted daily steps was associated with a 32% lower risk. Source: so is minute 10 the truth? Yes and no. Yes, because around minute 10 is a useful, memorable point where steady walking often becomes organized enough inside the body to create that medicine-like pattern for the heart. But also no, because your body has already started helping you before that. The surprise is not that the benefits start late. The surprise is that they start early and deepen with continuity. And that should feel encouraging, because it means your body is not waiting for perfection. It is responding to willingness. Now, before we go further, a quick note of calm honesty. Walking is powerful, but it is not a reason to ignore warning signs. If you get chest pressure, severe shortness of breath that feels unusual for you, fainting, or a pounding irregular heartbeat that scares you, that's not a push through it moment. That's a pause and get medical advice moment. If you have heart disease, diabetes, very high blood pressure, or you're returning after illness or surgery, it's wise to talk with your clinician about the safest pace and progression. Listening to your body is not weakness, it is biology. In the final part, we'll connect all of this to real life: how fast you need to walk, what happens after the walk is over, why consistency beats extremes, and why your heart may be benefiting on days when you barely realize it. So what does this mean in everyday life? It means your heart is probably not asking for drama, it's asking for repetition. A walk that begins gently, settles into rhythm, and lasts long enough for your circulation, vessel lining, breathing, and muscles to work together can become far more meaningful than it looks from the outside. This is where things get interesting, because the real gift of walking is not just what happens during the walk, it's what lingers afterward. After a steady walk, your blood pressure may ease, your vessels may stay more responsive, your nervous system may remain calmer, your body may handle your next meal a little better, your sleep later that night may improve. And if you repeat that process often enough, your body begins expecting this supportive pattern. That expectation changes you, not overnight, but quietly. Regular brisk walking is linked with better cardiovascular fitness, improved endurance, support for healthy blood pressure, and lower risk of conditions like heart disease and stroke. Even something as simple as a daily brisk walk is described by Mayo Clinic as a powerful tool for heart health, mood, energy, sleep, and metabolic well-being. Source: and this is why consistency matters more than trying to impress yourself once in a while. Your body learns from repetition the way a trail forms in grass. One pass changes very little. Many passes create a path. The heart adapts the same way. The vessels adapt the same way. The muscles adapt the same way. The nervous system adapts the same way. This is biology, not magic. If you're wondering how fast the walk should be, think less about speed and more about feel. For heart-supportive walking, a useful guide is a pace that feels purposeful but still allows you to talk in short sentences. Not a stroll so slow that nothing changes. Not a push so hard that you tense up and dread doing it again tomorrow. The sweet spot is often what some experts call brisk but comfortable. That's important because the body responds best when it trusts the pace. If you go too hard, too soon, especially when you're tired, stressed, or deconditioned, the experience may stop feeling supportive and start feeling like a threat. And again, your body is not failing when it resists that, it is protecting you. But give it a pace it can cooperate with, and it becomes remarkably generous. Now let's answer the title clearly. The exact minute walking becomes medicine for your heart is, for most people, around minute 10 of steady, purposeful walking. That is the practical landmark. That is the memorable answer. That is the point where the internal orchestra is often fully playing together. But the deeper truth, the part most people never hear, is that the medicine starts building before minute 10 and keeps deepening after it. Minute 10 is not the beginning of value. It's the moment the hidden value becomes more organized. And that matters because so many people quit at minute 6 or 7, thinking, this barely counts. It counts. Your calves are helping blood return. Your heart is adjusting intelligently. Your vessels are reading flow. Your muscles are opening their doors to fuel. Your brain is receiving the rhythm. Your body is already on your side. The World Health Organization and U.S. guidelines both emphasize that adults should build toward regular weekly movement, about 150 to 300 minutes of moderate activity, while remembering that some activity is better than none. That message is deeply reassuring. Health is not reserved for people doing perfect workouts. It begins when the body moves, and it grows when movement becomes a habit. Source. There's another beautiful part of this story. Walking does not ask you to become someone else. It meets you where you are. A hallway walk after dinner counts. A parking lot loop counts. 10 steady minutes between meetings count. A slightly faster neighborhood walk counts. A longer weekend walk counts. Your heart does not roll its eyes and wait for elite performance. It responds to the signals it receives. And if those signals say, again and again, we move, we circulate in, we breathe, we recover, the heart begins living in a friendlier environment. That may be one of the kindest truths in human biology. Not everything health-related needs to feel intense to be real. Sometimes your most powerful medicine is rhythmic, ordinary, and repeatable. And if you've ever felt better after a walk without knowing why, clearer, lighter, calmer, warmer, more awake, now you know that feeling wasn't vague or imaginary. It was your physiology changing in real time. Your body was not fighting you. It was helping you. So the next time you head out for a walk, remember this. You are not waiting for some distant benefit at the 30-minute mark. Your body begins adapting within minutes, and around minute 10, those changes often become organized enough to truly support the heart in a measurable way. That is not small, that is not trivial. That is your biology working exactly as it was designed to work. Intelligent, cooperative, adaptive, protective. If this makes you see your body differently, tap like. What surprised you most? Did you notice this in your body? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoy understanding what's happening inside your body in calm, simple ways, subscribe.